reintroduce myself. My name is Ro. It's right here. It's Playoff Central Live, presented by AT&T 5G, along with the All-Star and champion Steve Smith, the lottery legend Greg Anthony. We just witnessed the Milwaukee Bucks take a 2-1 lead in the best-of-7 series. They get the victory tonight against the Hawks. Trae Young has an ankle injury, steps on an official's foot later in the third quarter. Really wasn't the same after that. Smitty, coming to you first. Initial reactions, and you can go either way, but what stood out most to you? Was it the Bucks' victory and what they did after Trae's injury, or what happened with the Hawks?
Number 22, Khris Middleton. That's what stood out for me. Khris Middleton, this is the best I've seen him play. The reason why, GA, is not just because of the points, but he had 11 rebounds. He had 7 assists, and he was aggressive. It was a meaningful game. The pressure on the Hawks with his size. Even though he shot threes, he shot over guys. He didn't let them off the hook. So what was the game to me? It was all Khris Middleton on the Bucks side. Even though Giannis played well, it was Khris Middleton for me.
Middleton playing well, and as you mentioned, he's become the closer. We know he's not the number one option per se, but in the fourth quarter, he becomes that. We saw him come up big in Game 7 against the Brooklyn Nets. We saw him win a game against the Miami Heat in the first round. He's accepted this role and really filled it well.
Well, in a lot of ways, he is their first option, to your point, being a closer in the fourth quarter. And the advantage he has is he can play like a first option, but you can't defend him like a first option because he's not the focal point of your defense. And that's a huge luxury. And to your point, yeah, now he's comfortable playing that way. They were plus 22 points in the paint. You know, they were basically even at that three-point line. And then Giannis is always getting his 30.
Yes.
So now, right now, it's starting to look scary because this was a game that Atlanta had a chance at, and he took it over in the fourth quarter. They had no answer.
No answer whatsoever. Entering into this game, the Bucks were 8-0 when Khris Middleton shot 40% or better. Now they go to 9-0 because he shot over 40% in this one, clearly. Taking a look at Giannis, we know that he's going to get his numbers, as GA mentioned, Smitty. He ends up with 33 and 10 in this one, gets to the free throw line and handles his business for the most part. They tried to count early, maybe disturbed him a little bit, but he was able to shake that off and still do what he does best.
Well, he's never going to shoot it excellent at the free throw line, but he's not scared to go there. That's the one thing is 13 free throw attempts, 6 for 13. It's not great, but he will continually absorb contact, look for contact, and he's not shying away. I like the way he played. I thought also give a lot of credit to Bobby Portis. The energy he's bringing. Didn't play a lot in the last series, but he is not one of those guys that's saying, poor me, GA. He's coming to put a lot of pressure on them in if they don't get to the free throw line.
And the game is about possessions, right? And so when you look at this game, they're plus 15 on the backboard, the Bucks. The Hawks don't get to the free throw line. They haven't shot more than 16 free throws in any game in this series. So you're losing possessions by not getting there. And then three-point wise, the Hawks were up 4 there, but the Bucks offset that by their ability to get out. Now, it doesn't show in the fast break points, but one thing, and this is where the coaching matters, the Bucks know they can run on Atlanta. If you watch this game, how many possessions did they get down and they just threw it over the top for easy baskets? Too many.
Well, we'll go to Nate right now, who's at the podium.
Stopping that run, Middleton got hot and, made some tough shots. We had open looks in that fourth quarter and, just didn't knock down those shots. Really they did what you need to do to win. When we got a rhythm and got a little momentum going, they was able to respond with some big baskets and big stops.
Ben Golliver. Coach, what was your view of the Trae's injury? And then did you feel like that threw off your offensive rhythm? I think down the stretch it was something like you guys had like 3 baskets in the final 7 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he tweaked his ankle, and of course, we had to go with some other options. And but again, I thought we got some open looks in the fourth quarter. Didn't knock down those shots. They did a good job of making us pay when we didn't get a basket in that fourth quarter. Middleton seemed like he was hitting everything. Giannis did a good job of keeping that momentum for those guys. And then when they miss, they got a couple offensive rebounds that were big.
Did you feel like he was moving normally injury, or was he hesitant at all?
No, he was a little sore.
Tim?
Nate, obviously you've been around a long time and see guys get going like Khris did in that fourth quarter. Is there anything you could look back on it thinking that you would have liked to have tried to do differently, or is that just one of those situations where a guy that gets going it almost doesn't matter?
Well, I mean, a guy's hot like that, you would like to hit what we call hit, basically run a guy at him. And, I thought we were trying to do that one or two times, and before we could even get a guy on him, he had released it. So he was really scoring from everywhere, from the perimeter in the post, off the dribble. But you would like to get the ball out of his hands in situations like that.
And I talked to you before the game about the size they have and the ability they have to attack. It seemed like for most of the game, at least, if not even really other than Khris was going crazy late, it seemed like you guys were able to do a decent job of slowing them down defensively. And you were all happy with what you guys did?
Yeah, I thought the big thing for us was to get off to a good start. And I thought the first quarter we were able to do that. And really try to keep this team in front. They were still attacking. It's really a three-headed monster over there with Antetokounmpo and Middleton, as well as Drew. All of those guys are excellent isolation players. They do a good job of spacing the floor, and if you are committing to the ball, then they will be more than happy to shoot the three ball. So, it puts really challenges your defense to try to cover them one-on-one and make them shoot tough shots, but they're capable of making those shots.
Khris first now?
Going back to Trae for a second, was there any consideration to put Lou in with his ankle obviously sore like you said?
When he came back to the bench, I was told that he was available. And, once he got out there, I saw that he wasn't moving well. When I took him out the last few seconds, he couldn't go back. I was basically looking to rotate him offense, defense, and he couldn't go back. But when he came back to the bench, Khris, basically, I was told that he was available. He could go again.
And then there was a stretch where John sat 14 minutes after picking up his fourth foul. Was there anything he needed to bring back earlier?
No, I mean, he had 4 fouls, and early in that third quarter, Gallo did a good job of filling in. We was trying to buy as much time as we could. And I thought O did a real nice job to start that fourth quarter, but we was just trying to buy as much time as we could.
Back to Tim?
Just following up on Trae quick, when you said he couldn't come back in at the end there, is there any concern about him going forward, do you think, or is that just because?
I don't know right now. I think when he returned to the floor, he was obviously limping on that, and when I subbed him, we decided to just keep him out.
We'll go to Zoom now, and we will begin with Steve Hummer.
Yeah, Nate, for 3 quarters there, how did you see Trae, how he responded to game 2, and did you really feel that he was on the verge of finishing out a special kind of game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was, doing a good job. He was scoring for us. I thought he was he came out aggressive and was able to, see the ball go in the basket tonight early. And I thought that gave us a spark. He was his old self, just being really aggressive, attacking in the pick and roll. When they gave him space, he was able to, knock down a couple of threes. But I liked the fact that he was aggressive and he was trying to establish that tempo that we wanted to play at.
Jeff Schultz.
Yeah, Nate, following up Steve's question, did you two have a conversation at all after the last game? Did he articulate to you about how determined he was to sort of try to make amends for the last game?
No, Jeff, I didn't talk with him. I think, this is really a growth period for Trae. And, I don't think you just go to him every time he has a game. He needs to figure it out himself. He put the game on himself, our last loss. And, my thought was that with that was to just leave him alone. Talk about the things that the defense was doing, the adjustments that they made, point those out. But, this is a time for him to figure out what he needs to do. And he knew that he needed to be aggressive. He had a bad game, and players have that. So I don't just run to him every time, he has a bad outing. I thought this was time for him to just figure it out. And I thought he did. He came out very aggressive and was able to really establish that first quarter for us.
Just a couple more. We'll go to McLean Baxley from the AJC.
You talked about a little bit earlier, getting John Collins on the bench, with those fouls, but, Danilo Gallinari coming in with 18 points, and, how crucial was his play and off the bench and just keeping pace with what Milwaukee was trying to do?
Well, he gave us a big lift. They are doing a lot of switching out there, and they're giving us matchups on the post with John and Gallo, and those guys have been able to win their matchups, down there. So, I think we need to, be a little bit more patient and go to those matchups a little more, Gallo and John have shown that they can score against those matchups. Gallo, we needed him a lot sooner tonight with John getting in foul trouble. He's been doing this for us all season long, just bringing that scoring punch off the bench.
Okay, the final question from Zoom will come from Davide.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, in the fourth quarter, you had to change a little bit about your offensive style. What did you like there and what you didn't?
In what quarter?
The final quarter, obviously, with Trae injured.
Well, I thought of course, their defense picked up, and I thought we was able to get some open looks, with some of our best shooters shooting the ball, and we just, the ball didn't fall for us. Bogey had a couple open looks. Trae had an open look, going down the stretch, and just wasn't able to, get the ball to go down for us. Scoring 17 points in that fourth quarter really was the difference.
The final question will come from inside the room and Chris Kirschner.
Nate, I understand that Bogey is hurt, but what have you thought of how he's played in these 3 games so far?
Well, he's getting better, tonight he ended up playing 35 minutes, so health-wise, he's getting better. His shot just has not fallen for him, but, he's a guy who, I believe that next shot is going down. And, he has some wide open looks that, I'm willing to trust that he's going to knock those shots down. It's just not falling for him. It hasn't fallen for him this series, but health-wise, he's actually getting better.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Yeah, just being around him a lot, and he starts to see it go in. He starts to feel good. He gets in a rhythm. He can score different ways. He and Giannis in a two-man game. It's a tough choice. So, huge fourth quarter. I think he had 20 in the fourth quarter, and yeah, just glad he's on our side.
PJ has what is a wide open quarter three, and instead finds him for one.
Yeah, it's a great, I think PJ's IQ, PJ's awareness. I thought PJ on the boards was huge. He got, offensive rebound, couple of them, defensive rebounds, the physicality he brings to our group. But yeah, that extra pass to Khris when he's rolling, and to feel that and see it, those are important.
And then just for you, the way that Giannis was going early in the game and then just often throughout, what do you think of the physicality that he brought to the message that you mentioned?
Yeah, good. Like you said, I think he got some good stuff going early. I thought the big fadeaway in the middle, late was a big basket. His screen setting, playing in transition, so he's going to have to fill his cup back up and get ready to go again.
How much of tonight too is sort of weathering storms? Obviously 7-0, down 15, and then even early fourth when Young goes out, that they kind of make a run.
Yeah, no, credit to Atlanta. They came out well. They executed. They ran in. They got behind us in transition. So we did not have a good start, and then a couple different stretches. Weren't our best, but credit to the players in the fourth quarter. 17-point defensive quarter, just to find a way to win. It's on the road. It's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. So the guys just found a way tonight.
Right along with that, the start like you had on the road in a game like this can be overwhelming. Is there something that you said or something that was talked about in the huddle to try to calm us down a little bit?
No, I remember one time out Giannis say, just do it stop by stop. I think Giannis's leadership in the timeouts, Giannis saying, I think when you go to your defense and when that's what you're talking about in timeouts, when you're not playing well, we think that's where it starts. And so I think Giannis and Khris and those guys just getting stops, trying to wear them down. So I think it's just good. That's our identity. We want to be good defensively and play off of that.
You've had Khris for 3 years here. His numbers have been relatively flat, but it seems like he's more comfortable, I guess, in these situations, maybe a little more mature than a couple years ago. Have you noticed that comfort level?
Yeah, no, I think, he's in a good place. I think, our whole group, sometimes you have to go through some things. I didn't understand everything you said, but he's in a good place now. And, I think between Drew and Khris and Giannis and then whoever else is on the court, with them, just finding good spots. There's a lot of confidence in the group.
Just following up on that, but to have Khris pick up 3-4 fouls and then have that foul come in the fourth quarter specifically, or sometimes that's been the time when things get overwhelming, what kind of growth is that showing?
Yeah, no, the foul trouble and just, sometimes that can get you off your game. And just, both teams are, constantly complaining and frustrated. And Khris, isn't any different, but then to compose himself, deal with his own personal foul trouble, deal with whatever's going on in the game, compose himself and score 20 in the fourth quarter. Just speaks to his character, to his growth. He's a hell of a player.
How did you manage to settle in defensively, especially from the point where I think they were up 95, 88,
Yeah, I think just the rotation, the subbing, got to a place, I think Tuck came back in the game and, he brings a great physicality, brings a great defensive mindset. We were able to get a couple rebounds and I think found a couple threes in transition and the game just flipped right there. I think we were up 96-95 and but I think more just some natural subs, but I thought Tuck was huge in the fourth quarter, huge just on the boards. But Khris, Giannis, Khris is switching on to Trae Young, Tuck's switching on to Trae Young, Giannis, all these guys are having to take their turns, and then they got to battle the big guys on the boards. So I think taking care of the boards was a big thing, big carryover from game one. So it's just a lot of little things add up to good defense.
But when you first got here, I remember the first few years that you with Khris, you said that just feels like there's a lot that you can do it. Do you think there's like a edge, tenacity that it has flipped a little bit in this third year, or kind of just what are your thoughts on that? Maybe it's the same.
No, I think he's grown. It's a credit to Khris, the work, the time he puts in, but I think he's constantly growing as a player. I think evolving, finishing. Some of his left-hand finishes tonight, impressive. And, and I think, having Drew as a point guard and getting him into places and obviously Giannis and he have a combination of feeling and play well together. So, but I think Khris has just grown as a player.
Mark Schwartz, ESPN.
But, you know, Khris is one of those guys that doesn't point to himself and create a lot of, you know, attention. He was a second-round pick. A lot of NBA fans probably don't even know where he went to college. Why do you think he's been able to go so far under the radar for his entire career when he can be capable of doing what he did tonight?
Yeah, no, it's hard to sometimes, you know, understand, you know, who catches and people's attention and so on and so forth. But he's a winner. You know, from the day I've been around him, he's done nothing but win. He does all the little things. He's quiet, but his voice is loud in our locker room. His voice is loud in our timeouts. You know, so I think he's one of those guys that's, you know, very smooth and just, you know, has a way of playing and can score in ways that, you know, I think kind of sneak up on people. And but he went to Texas A&M, where my oldest son is a senior also. So go Aggies.
Does he rise to the level of superstar? I know you're a little biased, but would you characterize him as a superstar in this league?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not big on, you know, labeling and phrases and terms and all that stuff. He's just a hell of a player. There's lots of great players in this league, and we know what Khris can do for us and how we can win with him, and that's what's most important.
Joe, last one. Just checking back in on Giannis. Obviously, he had huge numbers, real slow start, and in the fourth quarter there was a time where he just had both hands on his knee. How is his calf? Do you think it took him a minute to actually get those?
You know, I think the calf is in a good place. You know, he's going to have to stay on top of it. He's going to have to get, you know, I think extra time with the sports performance group. But, you know, all these guys, you know, Drew 42, Khris 42, 43 minutes, Giannis 40 or whatever he's at. In this series, recovery and taking care of your body in between games were every other day for the whole series. So, you know, Giannis and his calf, everybody with their whole bodies, we got to put time in between now and tip for Game 4. All right, thanks, guys.